Hi, my name is Kathryn Strascina, and I'm going to talk about the engineering notebook. So with my students, we start early on in Unit 1 with the engineering notebook, and I put a lot of emphasis on the work on this notebook. We do it all year long, all throughout the course. I really emphasize the importance to students about why we keep an engineering notebook, that this is used, it can be used as a legal document, that their engineering notebook that they make now can be used later on as they go throughout other Project Lead the Way courses, as they attend post-secondary education, that this is something that they're making, but it's not just something that they're going to make for this class and then it goes away. This is something that is extremely useful. This is a skill that's extremely useful because as they go, if they progress and they go into post-secondary education and they go on to being an engineer or even working in other fields, they might have to create and keep an engineering notebook. And so those skills are extremely important. And so we talk about bringing in a bound, quadrilled paper notebook, and that's the first place we start, because a lot of them you say notebook, even if you say composition, and they'll come in with a spiral or a binder. So I make sure students know that it needs to be bound. We don't take pages out, we don't put pages in, that it has to be a bound notebook. I know that we sell them actually at our school, and a lot of stores put them on sale, so they can usually get them pretty cheap there. I am extremely detailed with my students. As soon as they get their notebooks, we take out their pens, and I remind them, make sure you're writing in pen, not pencil. We number all the pages, so that way it's done. We set up our table of contents, so that way it's set up correctly and ready to go. We set signature spaces on the bottom of each page so it can be signed by them and signed by a witness. And when I first started teaching this course, I kind of just went through the PowerPoint and then said, I kind of expected them to know what they're doing, and it really did not work well. So I am constantly on them. Take out your engineering notebooks, open it up, label your section, date your section, go to your table of contents, fill in your table of contents. So especially very early on, I give them a lot of guidance and really a lot of help in setting this up to make sure that it's done right. And I also check it really regularly, especially in the beginning, so if they're doing something wrong, I can catch it early on and fix it so that they don't mess up the whole first half of their notebook or whatever. So with our engineering notebooks, we do use the Project Lead the Way suggested methods and guidelines, but students are aware that there are multiple ways to do this. And we really emphasize that the bottom line here is that it's neat, that it's organized, and that they document as much as possible. I tell them to treat me like I know nothing about engineering, I know nothing about what they're doing. I should be able to read their notebook and understand exactly what they did from start to finish. I should be able to build exactly what they're designing, start to finish. I should see the brainstorming, I should see the sketching, I should see any revisions they made. I should have a clear understanding of exactly what happened step by step. I should have a clear understanding of the design process and how that was used. I should have no questions about what happened because it should be so detailed and so neat and so organized. When I teach engineering notebooks, it's very valuable to have samples so that kids can see exactly what students have done in the past. They can see how pages are signed. They can see how white space is crossed out. They can see how pages are numbered. They can see things that have been glued in and signed across or across. They can see the table of contents. So they kind of have an idea of exactly what they're doing, because especially with freshmen, they're they're learning all this note taking, they're trying to get themselves organized. And so if they can see what somebody's done in the past, it helps them a lot to understand what's going to be expected of them when they have to do this. So samples, you might not have any right starting off, but if you can keep some from students that maybe don't need them, or make a couple of your own, build one your first year as your students are building theirs, and then you have, a sample that you can show students. And of course, there's some sample pages in the PowerPoint as well. So with the engineering notebook, I also try to really emphasize that we have our notebook and we have our coursework. And so they want to keep everything because everything we do is valuable for them. So they need to keep coursework in the course binder. They need to do design process, details, notes, things like that in this notebook. So I give them a lot of guidance as to what goes in the notebook and what goes in the course binder. And then a few units down the line, when we get to the puzzle cube, then we start building a portfolio. So then they see kind of the three. So they first learn to separate the engineering notebook and the course binder. And then later on down the line, we start talking about a portfolio and how we put a portfolio together and what we choose from different places to put in that portfolio. So we talk about the purpose of all three things, and really, like I said, I give them a lot of structure, a lot of guidance about what goes in the notebook, what goes in the binder, and then building our portfolios. And of course, I'm extremely structured in the beginning, lots of guidance, and then as the year progresses, we're still talking about engineering notebooks. I'm still checking to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I give them less and less guidance as the year goes on because, of course, they figure it out and, then they can do it on their own.